Hello, we're going to continue. This is the third video. We're talking about Excel spreadsheet. We talked about relative address, but we're going to continue with this, and we're going to be moving to talk about absolute address. If you notice here one more time, when taking a look at formula, started with B5 through D5. I used the fill handle all the way to go down. So the fill handle did actually copy B5 through D5 and change to B6 through D6. And the same thing to change to B7 through D7, B8 through D8. So this is relative address where we adjust the new calculation in relation to the new range. It's very easy. That's one of the most powerful feature that you could get directly from the fill handle, because it fills the formulas or fill the calculation in general. Let's go ahead and put our assuming that these people Mo, Jack, Robert, May did sell the total, and based on that they're all going to get 10% commission. So I'm going to go ahead and put the commission here and put the 10% here. Actually, since we agreed on a 10%, we could go ahead and show you two different styles. The commission, if it's a constant and fixed, it's a formula, it's not a function. It's going to be this multiplied by 10%. Notice that I put the percentage sign after the 10 to indicate this is a percentage. And I'm going to go ahead and calculate that directly. Notice that we use the relative address very clearly here. E5 changed to E6, and change to E7, and change to E8. However, 10% is constant, so it's not going to change from 10% to, it's going to stay through the whole range of calculation. But what about if I wanted to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and select all this and hit delete key to delete this. What about if I wanted to change my mind about the percentage? Like one time I'm going to have it 5%, the next time it's going to be 10%, and so forth. So instead of treating it as a constant, now I'm going to go ahead and treat it as a variable, meaning I'm going to really include the calculation in the cell address as a cell address in the calculation. Notice here, when I do that, it's going to give me 10%. Of course, I could have changed that to, let me go ahead and reformat that as percentage. If I change that to 5%, and notice here when I hit enter, it's going to change it. 2%, it's going to change it. Let's say 50%, and it's going to change it, which really makes it fantastic. Why? Because it's going to adjust itself to the calculation, so I don't have to stick with 1%. What would happen if I do actually use the fill handle now in order to do the same commission for Jack, Roberts, and Mary? Let's go ahead and see what's going to happen. Oops, as you notice, we're going to get into some sort of trouble, because if you notice that when I moved the fill handle, I got 0 for Jack. Obviously, he's not going to be happy with the commission. Robert got completely error. One of the happiest individuals in my list here is going to be Mary, because she's getting actually almost $500,000 for a commission of $1,647. What did go wrong? If you give me your attention to see what did go wrong, you will be able to understand the difference between relative address and absolute address. If you notice, the first calculation was E5 multiplied by E2. And that's exactly what D2, sorry. That's exactly what we want. The fill handle didn't do anything but obeyed the way we do things. It moved from E5 to E6, which is exactly what I want. And it did move from D2 to D3, which absolutely caused the problem of having nothing in D3, which is 0. Anything multiplied by 0, it's going to be 0, and that's why we resulted into 0. The third calculation, it did actually move from E6 to E7, which is what I want, but it moved from D3 to the D4 cell, where there is a word, and word multiplied by a number. Excel said I'm not going to be able to do that, so I'm going to give you an error. And look here, we moved to the cell D5, and we moved from E7 to E8, which is exactly what I want, but moving from D4 to D5, actually 300 if one is 100%, so 300 is 300 percent. We're talking about 300 multiplied by 100, so that's going to give me a very large percentage, and that's what actually caused us to have this huge number. So it's 300, 100%. We're talking about 100% multiplied by 300. That's going to be 3 with 4 zeros in the front of it. It's a very large percentage. So this is going to give me that $500,000. So what we need to do? We need to do this. Instead of trying to put D2 here, I'm going to click on D2, of course, but I'm going to press the function key F4. If you forgot later or what actually locked the cell, instead of pressing F4, you could type the $sign around the cell address, which is going to lock that cell. It's going to make it an absolute cell, meaning when I do actually confirm that, if I go with the fill handle and go down, it's going to do exactly what I wanted it to do. It's going to move E5 to E6, but it's going to keep D2 where it is. That's absolutely what I need to do. E7 move to E6 move to E7, but D2 stay where it is, and E7 move to E8, but D2 stayed where it is. That's really good, because now we could see clearly if a cell that stand on the side by itself and need to be using multiple calculation, it doesn't have to be one cell, it could be multiple cell that we need to include them in multiple calculation, then we have to really freeze or lock or turn them into absolute address. Please make sure that you understand absolute address is not meaning absolute value, meaning a positive value. It's also, it doesn't mean that I can not change the value of the stored in the cell. It means I don't move from one cell address to another cell address. So absolute address is to lock the cell address itself. Okay, that's very, very important distinction between relative address, which is going to move with us to the next cell, adjacent cell. Absolute is going to keep that position of that cell locked in certain location, okay, or in that location, so it doesn't move or attack the next range. I'm taking my time here to emphasize this because it's very important to understand the difference between relative address and absolute address in order to use Excel or any spreadsheet, as a matter of fact, effectively. So this is going to do very well for us, because now we can really change this and it's still going to be able to do what it needs to do. And we could continue with the next ideas. The next idea, what about if there's no really specific commission, but instead of giving everybody 10%, we're going to actually look at total sale and reward them according to a certain criteria. So the criteria is going to be if they sold more than or equal to 2,000, they're going to get 10%. Otherwise, they're going to get 5%. So we have now a criteria to worry about it. So we have multiple relational operators, as we will get to know them. First of all, if I do wanted to show you all this, if you start a cell with the single quotes, anything you write in that cell is going to be ignored. It's going to be treated as a comment. So because if I started equal cell and I hit enter, it's going to show me this, but if you really wanted to treat that as a comment so it doesn't do anything, for example, if I say here 9 plus a 3, it's going to give me 12. But I don't want to really show the result. I want to show you the actual step that I'm doing to show you. So I could go ahead and hit the single quote, and it's going to leave it as equal 9 plus a 3. If I take the quote away, of course, if I click on it twice, if I take the quote away, it's going to treat it as a calculation, and it's going to give me 12. So this is very important to understand, because I'm going to use it now to show you all the different relational operator. Greater than, here greater than or equal to, less than, and less than or equal to, and of course the last one, which is not equal. The two less than and greater than together equal to. For example, to go ahead and do that again one more time, if I say here, ignore the first equal because now we are actually doing the testing. If I say to you 9 is equal to 9, you will notice that is going to be true because 9 is equal to 9. If I say to you 9 greater than 9, it's going to be false. If I say to you here 9 greater than or equal to 9, it's going to be true because 9 is not greater than 9, however it's equal to 9. And if I say to you here 9 is less than 9, it's going to be false. If I say to you here 9 is less than or equal to 9, of course 9 is not less than 9, but it's equal to 9, so it's going to give me true. And if I say to you here 9 is not equal to 9, and it's going to give me false. Now we know all this type of relational operator that we're going to use because that's what really be used in the decision making. When we use somehow, I'm going to explain that, of course, how to use a function in order to tell us if the value is greater than or equal to 2,000, then they're going to get 10% commission. Otherwise, they're going to get 5%. So I'm going to be using this, of course, now in order to greater than or equal. What is the name of the function that allows me to do this? It's called if. If, see here, it's a logical test, which is going to actually take this, greater than or equal to 2,000. That is my criteria. Comma, this comma should be looked as then in English. Then what? Let's go ahead and put 10%. That means if this is a true, the commission is going to be 10%. Otherwise, it's going to be 5%. We're not calculating here the actual commission. We're calculating or displaying the commission that that person is going to get based on their total sale. For example, here 2,088 is actually greater than or equal to 2,000. I'm sorry. It's going to give me 10%. It's going to, of course, not touch the 5%. Here we go. And of course here the format was $, so I'm going to go ahead and change it to the percentage. Notice this one here, we're going to get 5% because this is not greater than or equal to 2,000, so it's going to go to the 5%. Look here, the 1,112 is not greater than or equal to 2,000, so it's going to go directly to here. And you probably guessed what's going to happen in the next one. The next one is going to be also 5% because 1,351 is not greater than or equal to 2,000, so therefore it's going to go to here directly. The third one is very similar to the previous two, and it's going to actually show me that the E8, which is 1,647, is not greater than or equal to 2,000, therefore it's going to be 5. But let's assume, just to prove to you that all the dynamic approach of Excel, exactly what we need to show. If by accident that I entered Mary's data for May was wrong and supposed to be 1,000, the total is going to be greater than 2,000. At this moment, it's 2,323, and therefore it's going to be 10%. So make sure that we always trying to build function or formulas that dynamically react to any changes in our data. If statement is very powerful and it's used heavily for all decision making. It's one of the many, of course, tools that we use in Excel in order to decide between two alternatives. In this case, I'm deciding between two options only, true or false. Meaning, if this is true, this is what we're gonna get. If this is false, the condition, then we're gonna get the 5%. Of course, allow me now to delete these after we discuss those. If you really wanted to see them, you could rewind this. For me to go ahead and calculate the actual commission or commission amount. Here we go, and I'm going to write it, so I attack the next cell and fix it in a second. It's going to be this cell here multiplied by this. There is no need for me to worry about locking any cell because I'm multiplying this by this, this by this, this by this, this by this, so it is going to be a relative address. And we're going to go ahead and do all that. I'm going to go ahead and worry about this because this is really using a lot more, it's attacking the next cell. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap the text here. Not only this, I'm going to wrap it through the whole thing. Wrapping the text, wrap WRAP text. It's going to give me a good way of formatting. And of course, we could go ahead and choose a style for us. Maybe I like the, here we go. Could go ahead and keep the color harmony here. Giving it a blue. You could choose whatever color you like, of course. And here we go. We're going to stop here, and I'm going to continue with a fourth video. We're going to continue in making really some additional decision making. We're going to go shopping in the fourth video. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you there.